Hello, Unitarian Adam Lord here with the latest from County Hall in Preston at the Nicola Bulley inquest, where after a day and a half of hearing evidence, Dr Adeley has retired to consider his findings and deliver a conclusion. So today it's been an emotionally charged day in County Hall, as we've heard from Nicola's partner Paul Ansell, her sister Louise Cunningham, and parents Ernest and Dorothy Bulley. All four spoke in incredible terms about Nicola, and obviously struggled at times to get through their evidence. Paul Ansell even needing a 5-minute break at one point as he tried to pay tribute to his partner. The family have now submitted through their barrister, Sophie Cartwright KC, that Dr Adeley records a verdict of accidental death when he returns at around 2:15 p.m. Proposing that Nicola, while trying to sort her dog Willow, who we've heard a lot about during this inquest, Willow describes a third child today to the family, they submit that when trying to sort her dog Willow, Nicola slipped into the River Wyre and would have drowned within seconds. Now, as part of that submission, the family is said to have been comforted by evidence from expert witnesses yesterday that any ordeal that Nicola went through would have been brief. And we all know, obviously, the incident on January the 27th sparked a more than 3-week search that gripped the nation. But it appears that 3-week search, the family kind of want to address the fact that the incident would have happened very quickly for Nicola, and want that also recording in Dr Adeley's findings, as I say, when he returns at around 2:15 p.m. All those that have spoken in court today, as I say, the family members, Nicola's GP, Dr Rebecca Gray, and a mental health specialist, Teresa Lewis Levy, were asked about Nicola's mental well-being in the run-up to January 27th, when she seemingly vanished. None reported any hint that she had any suicidal thoughts. There were talk over recent months of low moods and anxiety, things like that. But Nicola's sister Louise Cunningham would categorically say that she would not go into the water intentionally. Hence their submission here that Dr Adeley returns with a conclusion of accidental death. Teresa Lewis Levy, who is part of a synergy setup that runs across the Fylde coast, when she answered a mental health emergency call from Nicola's sister on January the 10th, Teresa Lewis Levy attended the family home along with a paramedic and a police officer. They did find Nicola said in court intoxicated on the day, but not of low mood. The call made by Nicola's sister because they were concerned about her increased alcohol usage at the time. Now, Paul Ansell as well confirmed in court that the family have considered this a blip. So over the Christmas period, she stopped taking her HRT medication and did increase her alcohol intake. But, crucially, that incident on January the 10th, when, as I say, there was an emergency call to the family home, was said to be something of a wake-up call. And by January the 27th, when Nicola seemingly vanished, everything was on the up for her. There were glowing references in the hearing this morning about how her professional career was on the up. She had not been working for several years while she looked after children, but over the last year had passed her exams to be a mortgage broker again. And on the Thursday before she went missing, in fact, had held a very significant business meeting and secured some good business for herself. She was working with various companies and picking up business by word of mouth, and was said to be very, very happy with that, with how her career was going. And Paul Ansell even said in court how she had that increased independence once again. So, as I say, there was this blip towards the start of January that was addressed pretty graphically in court about the emergency call to the home, but by January the 26th, January the 27th, everything was very much on the up. Her parents, who actually this morning proceedings started with a request for them to speak, they were not on the witness list, but Ernest and Dorothy wanted to speak in court as they attended the family home on the 26th, the day before she went missing. That was a Thursday, and as was custom, they picked up the children from school. Now, they couldn't say enough that everything was normal. They had been asked to stay late at the home that Thursday because of one of these business meetings where she was securing some all-important work. I'm very happy to be doing so. And they said everything was normal. Both Ernest played a glowing tribute to his daughter, which moved him to tears. And she was also, as well, planning a spa weekend with her sister, and we heard that the plans for the weekend, she was described as a planner, everything was on the calendar, everything was colour-coded. She was planning ahead for the weekend, which included a play date for one of her daughters after her first street dance lesson in Blackpool, while the other daughter did a full day of practice ahead of a gymnastics competition. So plans were very much being made for days and weeks to come, and the family's future. Following Dr Adeley revealing his findings in around an hour's time, we will be read a statement by Lancashire Police. Whether we hear from the family is undecided as I speak to you now, although if we do hear from the family at all, it will be read to us, I would imagine, by their barrister or by another interested party. So 5 months on from Nicola's apparent disappearance, her family and loved ones will hope that whatever is said in the next hour or so will bring them some closure. This has obviously been a case that's been the subject of wild social media speculation in particular. The 3-week search gripped the nation. We are again today in the unusual situation where we're attending an inquest where there are police officers outside County Hall, which is unprecedented in my knowledge anyway. Such are the fears about people trying to get into this, well, such was the interest in the case. But thankfully, come mid-afternoon today, hopefully, for a family that have been through a lot, as we learned in court today, everything will be brought to as satisfactory a conclusion as these things can be.